This webinar is organized by Urban Planning and Design Research Group. I would like to greet the Dean of SAPPD at ITB, Dr. Eng Puspita Dirgahayani, also Professor Haryo Winarso as the head of the Urban Planning and Design Research Group, distinguished speakers, Prof. Sanjing He, thank you for joining us. And also for Ibu Vera Revinasari. Thank you, Ibu, for coming today. And also Bapak Insinyur Sulaiman Sumawinata. Thank you, Bapak, for coming. And also Bapak Sugiantoro, PhD. Thank you, Pak. Oh, and also one more. Thank you, Bapak Denny Zulkaidi, as our moderator for today. Also, beloved lecturers, students, and participants. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to first to read the agenda for today. The first agenda is the opening session, and then next is the lecture session led by our moderator. So for about the next 1 hour and 30 minutes together, we will hear about the perspective from the speakers about the new built gentrification in global metropolises. So please pay attention and prepare your best question. So ladies and gentlemen, we are now in the opening session. Without further ado, I would like to invite our Dean of SAPPK, Ibu Puspita Dirgahayani. Please, Ibu Puspita, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Maisa. Okay, good morning, everyone, distinguished speakers, colleagues, students, and also guests. On behalf of School of Architecture, Planning, and Policy Development, I would like to welcome you to one of the series of webinar that is regularly organized by SAPPD today on the new built gentrification in global metropolises, organized by the Urban Planning and Design Research Group, headed by Professor Hario here. Today's event brings together academicians as well as practitioners representing the global north and the global south to discuss how our city has been transformed by new forms of urban development. In many global south cities, including Jakarta, I'm sure here the speaker will talk a lot about Jakarta, rapid urban growth and the expansion of high-end residential projects have changed not only the skyline or the face of the city, but also social fabric of the communities. This webinar is expected to invite us to reflect critically on these changes, to understand the dynamics of new built gentrification, the similarities or differences across the context of global north and global south. And as planners and also policymakers, I believe that we must go back to the issue or the concern whether this urban revitalization or regeneration benefits everyone and still inclusive. I would like to extend my sincere appreciation to our distinguished speakers, including Professor Senjing from University of Hong Kong, Ibu Vera Revinasari from Office of Human Settlement, Spatial Planning and Land Affairs, Jakarta, Bapak Sulaiman Sumawinata, Board of Director members of YAPC World, and of course our colleagues from ITB who has given their time to share the valuable insights on these topics. My gratitude also goes to the organizing committee from Professor Haryo Lab for preparing this event, and also from Baiza and the team. I hope today's discussion will inspire collaboration and new ideas for building more inclusive and sustainable cities. Expectedly, of course, SAPPD as uh, as an institution that has mission to be more exist in giving impact to the global and to the national development in the context of built environment, will be gladly to collaborate further on this topic and beyond. Once again, welcome, and I wish you all productive and engaging session. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Ibu Puspita, for the opening remarks and your time. I believe this session will give us an opportunity to explore more and learn more from many perspectives. Please, ladies and gentlemen, now we have come to our main agenda, the webinar SAPPK session. All the presentation and discussion will be moderated by our moderator, Bapak Denny Zulkaidi. Allow me to read his short bio. First, Bapak Dr. Denny Zulkaidi is an associate professor at the Urban and Regional Planning Department, Bandung Institute of Technology. He received a doctorate from ITB, and his research concentrates on urban planning, heritage, and urban control. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome our moderator, Bapak Denny Zulkaidi, with a round of applause.
Thank you very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, presenters and guests, online and offline. Welcome to the webinar today. As we all know, we have a topic on new build gentrification in global metropolises and comparative perspective from the global north and south. May I invite the presenters in the room to the stage? And also Pak, oh, this is one by one, not panel? Okay, so Bu Vera, Pak Eman, Pak Haryo, Pak Toro. Okay. Actually, gentrification in the global south refers to the transformation of urban neighborhoods, often informal or lower income areas, through processes of investment or development, and also displacement. And like in the global north, gentrification is typically driven by private capital and middle classes migrations. In the global south, it often involves a complex mix of state-led urban renewal, infrastructure development, and real estate speculation. Anyway, we usually can conclude that there are positive impact of gentrification, but also negative impact of development. We still have to learn the characteristics of gentrification so that we can benefit most of the people and then also the state. In this webinar, we have the first speaker, Pak Sugiantoro, talking about the early findings of new build gentrification in Jakarta. Actually, his research is also covers several cities in Indonesia, in Bandung and Yogyakarta as well. Okay. Pak Sugiantoro is asisten ahli itu bahasa Inggrisnya apa? Lecturer at the Department of Urban and Regional Planning, and his interest is in urban management, public finance, public policy analysis, urban transportation management, and community-based development. He was graduated from this school, and then his master degree from the Stuttgart University, Master of Infrastructure Planning, and then Planning Studies from the University College of London. I think you may have 20 minutes for presentation. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. How are you, everybody? Finally, I'm very glad that we could arrange this webinar because we took so long to prepare this, almost 6 months. My presentation titled Early Findings of New Build Gentrification Research in Jakarta. PowerPoint. Belum muncul? Atau? Oh, di situ. Oke. Basically, this study was part of PPMI 2024 research funded by the ITB. Jakarta was the cluster one. The cluster one focuses on examining land value, rent cap theory, and gentrification. And the researchers are our colleagues, me, myself, Pak Haryo, Pak Ridwan, Pak Petrus, Pak Riwandi, Pak Widuran, Pak Muhammad Ilyas. But for this presentation, this one represents my interpretation of the early findings from cluster one. Not moving. Yeah, bisa. No, I can do it. So for the cluster one, there are 3 studies. Yeah, this one. The first study was the apartment growth and land price dynamics in gentrifying Jakarta, a diversion from rent gap theory. And secondly was the new build gentrification in Jakarta's vertical housing, processes, typologies, and driving forces. And the third one was infrastructure development and gentrification patterns along the Jakarta Outer Ring Road corridor, South Jakarta. Okay, this is our position actually, but the process of new build gentrification refers to a situation that there is a transformation of urban areas through the development of new housing stocks, either vertically or horizontally, and this should be experienced by the indirect or direct displacement of previously the land occupied for residential land uses. And this is our position that we try to identify the differences between new developments that took place on the vacant land. So by this position, we try to differentiate new apartments, buildings, from the one built on vacant land, and the ones initially or prior to the development was a displacement. The resurgence of the inner city population in Jakarta is attributed to new build gentrification as the primary driver for this demographic increase. In Jakarta, we found that there is an increase of population, particularly within the last 3 censuses. And we believe that it's kind of revanchism. Initially, people seeking houses outside Jakarta because internal Jakarta, the land was scarce, and then the price so high. But then there is something that we found, or we thought that the developers prefers to locate to good accesses, for example, toll roads. So we found there are 8 corridors that finally developers prefer to invest it in. And by this situation, we found that for land price, for developers, it doesn't matter. Even they prefer the location with high land price because they believe that they could have better profits. So this kind of position is like a little bit different from the way the classical gentrification took place. It's not a new development. And then the choice to seek land with depreciation of land value. So they could get profits from lower price, and then they build new one with higher profits. But for Jakarta, with the keep increasing land value, if the developer do not take action right now, they will are left behind by the others, competitors. So this is the graph showing the population growth in all the cities administrative of Jakarta. And you will see that the tendency of central Jakarta to increase in population is quite clear. So in the second graph, there is a comparison with the total population of Jakarta. But basically, the all population of Jakarta is increasing, but the specific we have to look in is the central Jakarta. From 1980 to 2000, they're decreasing, but then from 2000 to 2020, it increases. So we thought that this could be related with the development of new apartments within Jakarta. And this one is the population growth rate. And we'll see that central Jakarta is quite speedy. You know, the growth rate is really high. And then we will, so basically the objective here is to examine the process of new build gentrification by tracing land use conversion. And then we try to identify the potential evidence to compare with the rent cap theory. So the figure is the timeline, which is the chain of land transactions and stages up to the development. So excuse me, it is a low bat. We cannot see the presentation. So for the picture, we see that basically the old lands was probably vacant land or probably residential land or kampungs. And then there is a conversion, which is transaction buying and selling. And then when they start to buy the kampung area, then probably they will, you know, displace the whole people and try to make it ready for the development. And then, for example, from T1 to T4, it is the time interval that the commencement of housing developments cannot be determined because it depends on a good timing for investment. So basically, we try to identify which apartments are developed within T1, T2, and Tn, and then how long is the longest state of vacant land before the new development. And then this is our findings. I call it early findings because we have not do the conclusion, but just to show some indication of the results. So we'll see that this is the state in 1980. We conclude that the vertical housing development is basically influenced by locations, location which is close to the accessibilities that will trigger the possibility for investment. So we identify 8 corridors for this. Then it's 1980, and then 1990, we see early developments, and 2000, after the reforms era, it's grows so many, and then now 2010, and then 2020s. So we have hundreds of new apartments within 40 years from 1980s to 2020s, but not all of those apartments basically identified as a new build gentrification because of my definitions before. And then these are the corridors. We see that the SCBD corridors are the most the new apartments developments took place, and then the internal corridor, Kramat Raya, Gunung Sari, but there is new corridor which is vibrant, which is the new Jakarta Outer Ring Roads, and also the pink one, the Eastern Jakarta Outer Ring Roads. We did the research for the segment South Jakarta following this southern Jakarta Outer Ring Road. And then these are the distribution of different kind of apartments that showing SCBD is the most location of new apartments with high-end luxurious types. And then we try to interpret that actually the government itself is the actor that very active to make this happen. The investors, of course, they wait for the new signals from the government when and where to invest. So the governments, they act as policymaker, but also very active to shape the policies that facilitate this gentrification to happen. And there is also gentrified and gentrifiers. The gentrified is the people that finally displaced to other locations, and the gentrifiers, this very funny that the new gentrifiers is not always the one with the higher income group, but this also the one with lower middle income group, which is people living in the public apartments subsidized by the government. This is not. So here in the slide, we show the example of So doesn't work. What happened? Okay. And this one, we'll see here. This is the example how new build gentrification took place. Firstly, there was residential areas or kampungs areas, and then efforts to buy and then demolished, and then the new developer started building the piles for the buildings, and then the final situation. This is in one site. So it is Park Avenue apartment. You can imagine that this kind of process happened hundreds of times in Jakarta. But if there is no previous use of residential area, we see as a just vacant land, we cannot, for my opinion, that we cannot justify that this is a new build gentrification. So based on those definition, finally we concluded there is only 30% of the whole vertical apartments that was formerly residential areas. So this is the one that we believe that this is the new build gentrification. Next. Doesn't work. Minta bantuan aja, Bu. Kemana? Ke sana. Kayaknya laptop itu saya kira. Okay, based on the people displaced, we predict that there are around 17,000 to up to maybe 50,000 people displaced for the whole process. And then this is also another example how displacement took place. The upper part was the Basura City apartment. Previously was the Kampung, and then Brand Simatumpang. This one was large-scale mixed-use development. And this one is also new build gentrification, mix of new housing, new commercial activities, and many things. Okay, we try an analysis comparing the timing for investment. We see that over time, there are certain years that is good for building the new apartments, which is starting from 2009 until around 2020, just before the COVID pandemic. So we consider that those time was the best policies from the government to the private sectors to develop new apartments. But after the COVID, I think right now there are more than 200,000 units of apartments unsold. They're still in the market. So there's overstock. But paradoxically, there is a backlog of houses, 13 million backlog of houses in Indonesia. We try to differentiate by time the new build gentrification or the apartment with the apartment with displacement, or 30% of them. In the second picture, we divide it between the ones indicated that there has been displacement and the one that it is with displacement. So this is the one with 30% of development. And then this is Southern Jakarta, the Jakarta Outer Ring Road. And if we discuss about displacement, you cannot imagine that this is the whole kampung was displaced before the development of toll road. And then after the development of toll road, from 2002 and 2024, it's completely converted to new businesses. apartments, mixed-use development, and many things. This is the data that the built-up land increased by more than 100%. Vegetation area decreased by 49%, and vacant land shrank considerably by 72%. This we just show that this could be the model of infrastructure-led gentrification. Normally, gentrification is always started by the government policy, so we call it state-led gentrification, meaning that by the government policy, there are many people displaced, tergusur. Ya, gambarnya ke sana. Not working. Iya. Aduh. So this toll road, there are 3 segments. We divided into 3 segments, and this is the second segment. We don't know why these segments having frontage toll road, yeah. So with the toll road in the middle, and then on the right and left side, there is another road connecting to land uses nearby. And you cannot, you can imagine that there are many roads connecting from outer skirts of Jakarta going right away to the middle of Jakarta. So this one now becomes the most congested area in Jakarta. This area, it is Jalan Simatupang and Jalan Kartini. But this segment is also the most vibrant investment right now for offices, apartments, and mixed-use development. And many activities from the central Jakarta now moved out to these corridors. And on the corner there is a MRT station, Fatmawati MRT station. And this one is the next example that mixed-use gentrification took place in a large-scale displaced area, and now becomes, this one is a branch Matubang, right? SQ Square, something like that. Yeah, this is the headquarters of BYD in this area. So between the, South Squares, yeah. South Square, yeah, something like that. South Quarter, yeah, correct. South Quarter. So they occupied, they buy the whole lot of lands from the toll road on the northern side, and then the southern side. This one is the Buona Vista something. It's a really huge area. And then this one's an evidence from the second segment of Jakarta Outer Ring Road. From 2009 and 2023, the differences of land prices. Now the highest is around 42 million per square meter. Before, it's only 20 million square meter for at the certain sites, yeah. But right now, it's really unimaginable, the prices. So this is the discussion that the traditional gentrification theories, such as the rent gap theory, often posit that gentrification occurs in areas with depreciated land values. But Jakarta doesn't. Jakarta presents a contrasting scenario where apartment proliferation coexists with continuous land price appreciation. But it doesn't mean that there is no depreciation. In certain locations of apartments, which is apartments nearby river sides and in vulnerable area prone to floods, something like that. The land price normally a little bit depreciate. So not all the apartments are having better land value, but majority, they have better land value. So the divergence from Western models, I think we need to do some re-evaluation to establish theoretical frameworks that Jakarta probably is unique with the keep appreciations of land value contribute to new build gentrification. And then the Jakarta situation also suggests that strong market demand with limited land supply produce a situation of high speculative investments patterns. This one's combined with, I don't write in here, this is the financialization. There are many foreign banks like Cetras and many things. They came in and pour a lot of money for development. Even the one from Japan, for example, they built Ion Mall in many places in Jakarta. So the investors, the actors is not only locals, but actually this one is international. So financialization, I think, already took place in Jakarta at large scale. And finally, the last one, which is the segment 2 of GOR. This is the one we call it infrastructure-led gentrification and produce new build gentrification. I think this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention. Hope that we could have some discussion later on. Thank you.
Mic-nya satu lagi lah. Thank you very much, Pak Toro. We can make a short conclusion that the new build and gentrification is some kind of the second generation of gentrification. After the first gentrification, then it was gentrified again, and we see that only 30% probably still remain residential, while others change to other uses. And the procedure, location probably haven't been properly predicted yet. So we still have some kind of research to see whether we can predict the next gentrification would be. And the new phenomena also is it occurs in the high land price area. It's not like used to be that it developed in the low price land. And probably it's not conventionally explained by the gentrification theories. So we expect further findings to develop the theory of gentrification or new build gentrification. And then the next presentations is Professor Senji. Oh, no, Bu Vera. Okay. Bu Vera is the head of the human settlements, spatial planning, and land affairs in the province of still DKI or DKJ? Still DKI Jakarta, still the capital of Indonesia. We haven't changed to Nusantara yet. Okay, and she was graduated from this school as well, from this department, and at the same year with Pak Toro, yeah. classmate. Okay. Okay. Okay, Bu Vera. How long? 15, 20 minutes? 20 minutes. Okay, we expect you not more than 20 minutes. Please, the time and place is yours.
Thank you, Pak Denny. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Ibu Pipit, the Dean of SAPPD, yeah, not SAPPK, ya, SAPPD, Pak Haryo, Pak Toro, Pak Andi, and all of the lecturer in this school. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to share with you as today, my presentation title is the city government's experience of urban development in Jakarta, observing shifts in residential development. Next, please. Okay. Today, I'd like to talk about the condition of Jakarta. I think all of you knows, almost all of you knows about Jakarta well. And the second is experience of residential displacement. And three, towards the future, how we want to deal with the housing problems in Jakarta. Next. Next, please. Okay. Backward, please. Okay. Jakarta, I'm sure you know about Jakarta. Jakarta accommodates not only 10.7 million residents of Jakarta itself. It is about 3.9% of the national population. But Jakarta also has more than 1 million residents of Bodetabek who carry out activities in Jakarta. Then Jakarta drives not only 16.6% of the national economy, but also 25% of the national economy together with Bodetabek. And if we see the data of trips in Jabodetabek, the whole area, based on the BPTJ study, in 2010, there was a 45 million trips per day in a whole area of Jabodetabek. And in 28 was about 88 million trips a day. And in 2019, it's 100 million trips a day. And now must be more than 1 million trips a day. And we have, if we talk about the population, we have a relation with the solid waste produced by the population. A day, Jakarta produces over than 7,000 solid waste a day. And almost all of the solid waste comes to Bantar Gebang in Bekasi area. So actually Jakarta has problems of inadequate basic infrastructure and also environmental issues. Next. Next, please. Thank you. The challenge we have is new build gentrification. First, we have a very big opportunity to develop infrastructure and also we'd like to renew so many areas in Jakarta to be a better living environment. But the impact is imbalance. It means that we reduce the affordability of the people, and the land price increases so high. And it comes to the following problems: the displacement and spatial exclusion of the resident. And we need the policy intervention to make a transformation. So we'd like to implement the equitable and sustainable urban transportation. Next. If we are talking about what happened in Jakarta, if we are talking about residential displacement, the major causes of this displacement is the infrastructure developments and the development of office and commercial building complex and luxurious apartments conducted by the private sectors. Next. These are some examples how so many people was relocated to other areas in Jakarta or Bodetabek. Some is we have like a direction to the people where they move, but some it depends on what they like. They can move to Bodetabek or still in other areas in Jakarta. If we see the construction of Banjir Kanal Timur, the new canal in Jakarta, I'm sorry, there's no. So if we see the aerial photo of 2023, it's a part of Banjir Kanal Timur. And we look back to the aerial photo in 1982, we see that along the new canal or in the part of the new canal, there is so many houses, buildings, residential areas, and they had no choice at that time. They had to move because Jakarta needs a new canal to deal with the flood. And the land acquisition happens in the area of about 400 hectares. It is a quite big area. Next. Another example is toll road, like Pak Toro mentioned previously. You can imagine that we see the aerial photo of 2023. There is a part of toll road, and there is a very quite big open spaces, green open spaces to support the toll road. In the past, in the 1982, we see that the area is full of buildings, the residential buildings, also high-rise building, and now it changed to toll roads and green open space. So we now that so many people were relocated to other areas. And then next, including the normalization of the Ciliwung River in Jakarta. So to make a better living environment, so along the Ciliwung River, we move the government of Jakarta move people to other area, especially for this program, we offer the rental multi-story housing for the people. So there is because they occupied the riverbank, so we cannot give the compensation for them. We cannot give money for the compensation. So we offer the rental multi-story housing constructed by the government of DKI for their moving place. So these are the examples of the government programs that make people move to other areas. And next, this is only one example of private sectors had so many roles to change the face or the face of Jakarta to be better. But we realized that so many people move to this area to other area. So for example, in Kelurahan Karet Semanggi, if you see now, for example, in the past they had for example 10 RW or neighborhood unit, and now only the rest is only three neighborhoods, and the number of the neighborhoods unit, the RW is jam one, for example RW 4, and then RW 7 and RW 9. There is no RW 1, 2, 3. So another area had becomes mixed use development like Plaza Semanggi, Sampurna Strategic, and also the hospital, Rumah Sakit Jakarta and Siloam. And this is a very, very primary area in Jakarta because located in near kawasan Segitiga Emas, adjacent to Jalan Sudirman, Gatot Subroto, and also Casablanca. And we in Jakarta have so many development like this. So the government give a permission to private sectors, to developers, to develop the area more than 5,000 square meter, but they had to give us infrastructure and facilities. So we give the permission, but please, private sector, give us the facilities and infrastructures like green open space, also the road, and so on. Next, so if we see what is the challenges in Jakarta if we are talking about housing sector. First is limited land area, then high demand for housing provision, and high housing prices, and low purchasing power for housing. So we face the low quality of housing, uninhabitable settlements. We in Jakarta face the high urbanization rate, also fiscal constraint. Next. So towards the future, we'd like to deal with all of the housing problems, and as we see in 2040, Jakarta has vision as Jakarta as a transit and digital-based resilient city with some mission that now we are still trying to make very or many activities to realize these goals, from transit-oriented and digital city development until urban spaces that support Jakarta as a center of government and culture. Next. If we talking about the building intensity, especially for residential area, there is a strategic transformation in Jakarta spatial planning. We have the old one, RDTR, RDTR or Detailed Spatial Planning of 2014. In this document, we encourage low-rise building intensity. We encourage sprawling of housing. In this spatial plan, the floor area ratio in commercial area is the average is 2.97, and the average FR in residential area is 1.2. And landed house and limited development for vertical housing is a main policy in this spatial plan. So there is a maximum 2 stories for a single housing. And we transform this standard in the new spatial plan, the RDTR 2022. So we encourage the intensification in transit area and mixed use. The average floor area ratio in commercial area is 7, and average for floor area ratio in residential area is 3.6. And then we encourage incentive for vertical housing development, especially in transit area. And we encourage higher building height policy for single housing up to maximum 4 stories, and also kampung kota revitalization. Next. The policy intervention that we start to do is first is promote housing development around transit area. So the closer a residential development to a transit point, the higher the permitted building intensity, and we encourage compact and efficient urban growth. Next. One of the technical criteria for TOD area emphasizes mixed-use development not only for spatial efficiency but also for social inclusion. The provisions ensure that existing residents within the delineated area are accommodated. We think that this is a very, very tough effort for doing this. And second, housing is developed under resilient and sustainable principles. Third, at least 20% of total units within the area are allocated for low to middle income groups. And we are still thinking how to do this. The second policy intervention is including kampung upgrading. Next, please. So in the new spatial plan, we acknowledge and respect the existence of existing kampung kota. So we do the zoning adjustment for 21 prioritized kampungs, and there are 21 the prioritized kampungs. Next. The principles of kampung upgrading itself, we want to develop resilient and sustainable housing, ensure participatory and collaborative housing development through community empowerment. This is the most important. And provide row houses or walk-up apartments with commercial space and with another principles. including supported by a comprehensive study on physical, economic, and socio-cultural aspect. So strategies for kampung upgrading. So we have a upgrading program, renovation of houses, and reconstruction. We do comprehensive demolition and reconstruction of houses and infrastructure. Also resettlement, the relocation of settlements or housing to a new location that complies with spatial utilization regulations. Next, the third policy intervention is building height adjustment for single housing. So we adjust the regulation regarding the intensity of spatial use for housing and higher building height policy for single housing. Okay, actually the average floor of a house in Jakarta is 64 square meters. More than half of the houses in Jakarta have a building area of under 50 square meters. Only 9.61% of households have an area more than 150 square meters. So we think the adjustment of regulation related to this matter. Next, the fourth policy intervention is adapting flats for multi-family living. So flats are designed to open possibilities for multi-family living on set plots. The concept allows several households to live together with shared facilities and communal spaces. Next, I think this is the last. The fifth policy intervention is vertical land consolidation. We realize that this effort is quite tough, but we have already done one pilot project in Palmera. So there was 90 square meters plot and decided by 6 families, and it was redeveloped into a 4-story buildings with 9 units with 18 square meters each, with complete living facilities. But maybe the secret is these families are families. So brother, sister, niece, nephew. So they can trust each other. So in land consolidation, trust is very important. We can successful if there's a trust among the parties. I think that's all my presentation. Thank you very much because all the policy intervention is still taught by us how to realize this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bu Vera. So we have heard the problems in Jakarta, and actually they are considered as the rationales for moving the capital to Nusantara. But when the capital is relocated, the problem still remains in Jakarta. So if I'm not mistaken, the former governor Anies said that Jakarta needs 500 trillion rupiah to solve the problem in Jakarta, while relocation of the capital needs about 460 trillion. So both of them will have more than 900 trillion rupiah to apply. Okay. Some new development also have classic problems, relocations of the original occupants, and then some other initiated by the government project programs such as toll construction and then river normalization, other applied by the investor as usual. And the government of province of Jakarta has provided 5 policies to increase the quality of environment, as mentioned by Bu Vera, but we still have to wait the implementation. Okay. And then the next presentation, thank you Bu Vera, is Pak Sulaiman Sumawinata. He is also graduated from this program, my junior, and then has master degree in strategic management from Prasetya Mulia Business School. And then he has several positions, ongoing position, President Commissioner of Infinity Trinity Jaya Corporation, and then President Commissioner of Riyadh Group Indonesia, and then also Commissioner at Alpha Golden Realty. He also has several medal awards from FIAPSI World, Medal of Honor, Special Appreciation, and also Public Housing Development Ambassador in international scale, the Estate Creative Award in 2019. Please, Pak Eman Sulaiman, you have 20 minutes.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Thank you very much. This is a great honor for me to get the opportunity to share the experience in our project. So when Pak Toro invited me to speak here, I'm a little bit strange about the terminology, the gentrification. I don't know the gentrification, but I start to Googling of this. I think it's come to some conclusion that the gentrification is the urban land value transformation by the new development. Correct? Yeah.
From the private
Yeah.
point of view.
Urban new land value development by the new development. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. Okay. My topic is divided two things. Yeah, we talk about the transformation, the global transformation of Jakarta, and also we after that we look to the more detail about the transformation in some area in my project in Alam Sutra. Next. Okay, if you're Googling the statement, what the policy in Jabodetabek area in 1980, yeah. The Jabodetabek area in 1990, the policy is the Jakarta will be the service city because the land value is very high. So the Jakarta itself growing very high. So the key is how to spread, yeah, how to spread the people go outside of Jakarta. So one of the policy is how to make the private sector also dominance in the development in outside of Jakarta. So the Jakarta in Jabodetabek have the policy what we call it the TXS, yeah, TXS, the spread the new residential going to the western part and going to the east part is the industrial area and the limited area development in the southern area because in southern area is the reservation for the water. Yeah, this is the restricted. So the policy, the access development the Jakarta at the 1980, it's like that. So also Jakarta make the growing with the commercial center, yeah. Also the business center inside of Jakarta, and the people go outside in Jakarta. Okay, next. Okay, this is the first step of the Jabodetabek urban transformation. Yeah, like I said, that the Jakarta spread to the west and east, and also to the south of Jakarta. If you see the people, yeah, changing from the 1980 until to 2020, the portion of the people of Jakarta is very dominant in 1980s, yeah, almost 54 percentage of the Jabodetabek people is inside of Jakarta. So after the Jabodetabek growing and people spread to other side of the Jakarta, the portion Jakarta is very different. Yeah, the Jakarta is only 34% of the people in Jabodetabek, and another people going to the outside of Jakarta. This is the first step of the development. Next. With this policy, yeah, for the 40 years ago until now, there are more than 50 big development surrounding Jakarta. Yeah, almost 50,000 hectares. Yeah, all the development outside of Jakarta, surrounding Jakarta, due by the developer. So why all the people spread out from Jakarta? Also, the economic development very growing in the outside of Jakarta. Next. The second step of transformation in Jabodetabek, in the outset of Jakarta, not only spread as the residential and the industrial estate, but much more bigger. Yeah, there are become the new regional center of economic activities. Yeah, if you see that's more than 300 shopping malls surrounding Jakarta and more than 100 universities surrounding Jakarta. So we cannot see the IKEA in Jakarta, but we see the IKEA in outside of Jakarta. Yeah, yeah. So also we cannot see Jakarta Premium Outlet inside of Jakarta, but we can see the Premium Outlet in outside of Jakarta. So why? The outside of Jakarta become the regional center, the economic, yeah, even in Indonesia. Okay. This is the second step of the global transformation of Jabodetabek. Yeah. So the surrounding of Jakarta become the regional, maybe international center of the economic activities. Next. Okay. We go to the western part of Jakarta. We have the experience how the urban transformation and urban gentrification happen here. Yeah. Talking about the gentrification, we talk about the land value changing, land value transformation. How come? Yeah. How come that happened? Maybe this is the three step. Our experience of development is like this. The first is the planning approach. You see the urban planner is very key person for this. Yeah, it's mean you are or the urban planner. The second step after that is the infrastructure development as a direction of the development. So after that, the economic development itself. Okay, next. Okay, Jakarta Serpong area, we have almost 11,000 hectares there with the 8 developer together, yeah, joint infrastructure, joint development, and the Alam Sutra, the 1,000 hectare is part of the development itself, yeah. So before, this area is very empty area, yeah, with the kampung, with the daily activity is farmer, ya, kebun ya, berkebun, the gardener, ya, something like that. There, no economic development there, ya. The Tangerang is very terbelakang ya, underdeveloped area in surrounding Jakarta. But today is very different. The Tangerang is the leader, yeah, the leader land value surrounding in Jakarta. Until almost 25 million per square meter there. Next. Okay, we talk about the how the gentrification happen. If we talk about the natural growth, the kampung is there. Yeah, maybe right now, yeah, the people grow up, yeah, but the still unwell planning, yeah, the development itself. But when we go there, so you start to develop the infrastructure, the develop the relocation, and so on. So the location and the projects right now is very, very different. Next. Yeah, this is the first step. How come the gentrification coming to the new area? Yeah, well planning. Yeah, in Alam Sutra, we inspiring by the, of course, you know about the Ian McHart. Ian McHart is very famous urban planner in UPenn, yeah, University of Pennsylvania. We try to adopt his concept to implement in our development in 1994. So with his inspiration, we try to develop 1,000 hectare of Alam Sutra. Next. Yeah, this is the process, yeah, superimpose from the geology, hydrology, vegetation, also what's it, existing people, yeah, and so on, and so infrastructure try to the super, what we call the superimpose. Yeah, this is very classic and very famous method also in this school. Yeah, when I come first to this school, also we introduce with this is very classic but very useful method. Ya, Pak Boy masih di sini kayaknya itu teknik presentasi. Ya, saya sangat terkesan dengan teknik presentasi. Oke, next. Yeah, we invite the one of the consultant, the big consultant in the world, Sasaki Welker and Associate. They promote this group is not the urban planner but landscape planner. Yeah, the approach coming with the natural condition of the land. In Alam Sutra, yeah, at that time we have the valley in the middle, yeah. So we try to menyesuaikan ya, adjust our planning to the natural condition of the land. Next. Next, yeah, this is the structure, yeah. This is the before we talk about the natural, this is the structure, yeah, very simple. Next. Ini sih cuma gambar-gambar aja sih. Yeah. Ayo. Next, yeah. You know, you see in the middle, yeah. Okay, in the middle of this area, yeah, so many water sequences here, yeah. In the side by side of this area is the development, yeah. we build a series of the like. Okay, next. Yeah, we talk about the cluster system. Yeah, the cluster system is very famous. We are the first developer who announced to promote the cluster system. The cluster system is very general. Yeah, all the studies know about this, but we are the first in 1994 to announce, yeah, to promote we call it the cluster system. Yeah, this is the concept of the cluster system. Okay. This is the cluster system, one gate system, one airway, yeah, three RT, something like that. Next. This is the infrastructure as a direction of the development. We don't decide about the land use first, but we decide to develop the infrastructure. Yeah, our decision, we cannot direct access to the collector street and with the small development like ruko and houses. We cannot directly buy. We have to develop by the one gate or two gate system, unless from the collector street we can directly going to the big scale development like hotel, yeah, like shopping mall. So if you see in Alam Sutra, we never see what we call it the ribbon development, yeah. So we cannot see the direct access from the street to the ruko or the houses. Okay, this is the next. Yeah. We always talk about the apa planning is the dynamic planning. Yeah, what we call the dynamic planning. The dynamic planning, we don't put the land use exactly in one places, but we go to direction about the infrastructure. In one collector street, we can put all the commercial, even this is small mall, this is we don't decide. Yeah, we sell it to the customer. Which one do you like? But the direction is like this. Yeah, the collector primaire, the collector secondary. Yeah, you can do with the commercial or hotel and something like that. Yeah, this is very dynamic. Next. Yeah. Yeah, next. This is the implementation. Yeah, this is the regional commercial center. Yeah, this is also the university. Yeah, we have the 3 university and some hotel, some lifestyle. Okay. We also some of the headquarter, yeah, Alpha Mart is in our site, yeah. Also, there are the apartment. Okay, yeah. This is one of the very interesting step, yeah, about how to spread the local people that inside in our development, yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is the concept. Yeah, this is the concept. If you want to blend our development with the local people, there are almost 3,000 households. Our concept is what we call it the integrated development. So the local people make part of our plan. Yeah. How can we do this? The first thing, we relocate the local people inside of our project. Yeah, our project is 1,000 hectare. So the local people spread to inside of the 1,000 hectare, not the outside. We connect with this. Yeah, the third, integrated connection with the infrastructure. Yeah. Okay. Now this is also another very interesting concept. Yeah. The people move to the new development, yeah, relocate to new development. So the new houses is like better end. Yeah. But another thing, yeah, we move the people original to new original development. Yeah. Yeah. This is you cannot see in every single of the developer, another developer. Yeah. We move the people to the side. This is the original like the environment before. Yeah. Yeah. You can see the face of the houses going to north to see, yeah, what the difference, this and that. Yeah. And that's when before we go to the new development, left, right, front, and back is no infrastructure. But the new original complex in the face of his house is the road. But the road is very irregular. Yeah, before this is very important. Yeah, I think because they want to live like the original before. You can not see this method in the other developer for sure. Okay, this is the next. Next, yeah. Yeah, this is, yeah. No, before. Yeah. Yeah, the original to the new development, the original to the new original development. Yeah. Yeah, this is original. Pak Yusuf Asari at that time, the Ministry of the Housing going to hear the very surprise. It can happen this. Okay. Okay, the next. This is very important also. How come this one? We generate the new business for the local people that we move in to our new development. Is very important. He build a kos-kosan, yeah, yeah, rental room. Yeah, say you got he got also the new business for the UMKM, yeah. Another thing, the job opportunity also there from his wife, his son, yeah, also a new coming job opportunity here. Almost more than 50,000 job opportunity going to this area. I think this is important. Okay, next I just lanjut. Next. Yeah, this is only talk about the facilities. Yeah, all of this you can do this. All of people. This is also the facility. This is the how we call it the green development. Yeah, the second layer of development, which is the environmental method. Yeah, if you rainfall here, you're not going directly to the street, so you can stop by the second layer. Next. Next. Yeah, this is, yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pak Iman. So, Pak Iman, tell us about the development of Alam Sutra, which is not gentrification, but new development in an underdeveloped area with low land price. Yeah. But they develop the area in accordance to the good planning and design process, and also accommodate the local people and provide new traditional residential area with new employment built in the area. Okay, so it's a very good development, and then probably hopefully it will be followed in other areas. Okay, thank you very much, Pak Eman. And then the next presenter is Professor Senjing.
Yep, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me to join this important seminar, symposium. Okay. So I have learned a lot this morning because I know very little about Jakarta and also Indonesia context. So I'm really happy that you can share so much insight from different perspectives, including the university, academic perspective, government, and also private sector perspective. So indeed, I learned a lot. So, but my research, my presentation is not really have a lot of details. Because my talk is cover very broad ground. So I'm trying to share my screen. Can you see it? Do you see my screen?
Not yet.
Oh, not yet. Let me try again. How about now?
Ongoing. Start. Okay. Slideshow, please.
Okay. Can I just put it on full screen? Is it okay? Yeah?
Yes, it's okay.
Okay, great. So I will start my presentation. Yeah, so I think my presentation is not really having a lot of details because as you can see from my title, I try to cover a very broad geographical region and also it's more theoretical and abstract in a sense. So this is the outline of my presentation. If you fall into four parts, first of all, I will talk about my theoretical approach, which not look at the traditional binary perspective, global south or global north. Instead, I propose the idea of global east. And then I will also tackle several binary perspective, binary epistemologies, trying to go beyond this binary epistemology to understand new gentrification in the global east. And I will focus on several cases in new gentrification in a number of countries in the global east. And finally, I will conclude. So first of all, I do understand the title and the key theme of this symposium is really on new gentrification in the global east and global south and global north. But as I mentioned earlier, I think in between global north and global east, there is also the global east, which should attract our attention because this dichotomy of global division between the north and south was kind of outdated because it captured the global geopolitics during the Cold War. However, this dichotomy has been collapsed after the Soviet Union or the socialist camp came to an end in the late 1980s or early 1990s. So currently the world can be looked at from a more diverse and plural perspective. So that's why a number of scholars propose the idea of global east. So, but this does not mean that we are going back to the previous three tiers world system before in the post Second World War period. However, we are trying to introduce a more diverse and fluid and flexible perspective to understand the differentiation that embedded in the geopolitics and also the national political economy that has distinguished the global east countries or regions from the more developed global north and the developing world in the global south. So for the case of China and many East Asian countries, I think it's more appropriate to position those countries in the global east. For the case of Indonesia, because this is entirely new to me, but after listening to the very insightful talks this morning, I would say that Indonesia probably should fit into the global east rather than global south, because you have gone through a very similar trajectory of urbanization and rapid economic takeoff and economic development and a very strong state intervention and trying to tackle the problem of inequality, environmental pollution, and social disparity. So in that sense, I think the Indonesian case would fit better into the category of global east instead of global south. So if you look at the map here, I try to present the scope of the Global East. You can see that Indonesia has been included in this map because it not only encompasses the East Asian or South Asian countries, but also the broader Asian Pacific region and the previous the socialist camp in Eastern European countries. So basically, this is the scope of my research. But coming back to the term Global East, the term is not just used as a literal way, which can be considered as a spatial temporal container, right? Just now, although I show you a map that which countries and which regions should be considered as Global East, but we should also look beyond this objectivist ontology, not just use the term as a spatial container, but also go beyond that, even not just as an intermediary position between the more developed global north and the less developed south, but more ideally, we should try to develop a more constructivist ontology, trying to use Global East not just as a geographical location, not as a spatial temporal container, not even as a hierarchical, intermediary term, but also more constructively as analytical framework and a theoretical prism. Try to develop a unique, epistemology that not just mimicking the Western theorization of gentrification, but to develop our own theoretical tools. So in that sense, here I try to summarize some key characteristics, key features of the Global East from a comparative approach. So from the social aspects, we may need to emphasize that in the Global East in general, of course, I do understand there are a lot of diversities and among the Global East countries, but in general, we do have a more strong and the state play a stronger role, and there is a entrenched bureaucratic system. Also, there is a vertical governance system since the feudal era. This is particularly the case in China, Japan, Korea, in the East Asian countries. And if we trace the origin of the term gentrification, it also urged us to develop a better understanding of the so-called gentry class, the rural landed gentry, which play a very important role historically, but also in the modern form of the gentry class. They are also the key player or the so-called gentrifiers in new build gentrification or other forms of gentrification in the contemporary world. Secondly, the study of gentrification in the Global East, we need to bear in mind that we need to position this topic in a post-colonial context. So most of you are on site, you are in Bandung, right? So you must know that the famous Bandung conference hosted in Bandung in 1955. This is a very symbolic and significant event that symbolizes the post-colonial period in the Global East context. So the Global East has, rise from the colonialist regime and to declare their independence. This is not just a political event, but also signify the economic independence and also new economic opportunities that being, the link from its previous colonial countries, and also developing a more localized governance strategies. And some countries even pursue globalization and the worlding status. This is something we need to bear in mind. And finally, from the economic perspective, most of countries in the Global East, we do try to develop a market economy, but it's not exactly the same as the free market economy. We commonly, observe in the US, the UK, and Western Europe. In a sense, it's more aligning to the so-called coordinated market economy that we observe in Germany, in Japan, and some other countries. And also, the Global East has a very strong sense of developmentalism. So the developmental state play a very important role in pursuing political, economic, and social goals that we have discussed earlier. We emphasize the critical role played by the state, and also how the state try to balance economic growth and social stability. This again was confirmed in the previous presentation from the government sector and from the private sector. So in a nutshell, we need to really dip deeper into the concept of Global East to locate our research topic, new build gentrification, in a local context. And this will provide a breeding ground for more diverse forms of gentrification and the governance strategies to deal with the social stability and social equity issues arising from new build gentrification. So this is a table that quickly summarize or to compare the typical gentrification between the East and the global North, where the concept gentrification originally came from. So here I only listed a few countries. By no means it can cover all the cases in global North and global East, but just to give you a sense, a flavor of how they differ in many senses in terms of the area where gentrification is happening, and also the relation between the gentrifiers and the displaces, right? So in most countries, the middle class and the low income group and even the urban poor will dominate this very dynamic relation, and sometimes an oppositional relation between the gentrifiers and displaces. But in some countries, there are some variations. For example, in Russia, because the gentrification happens a lot in the rural areas, so this confrontation would happen between the urban elites and the farmers. Actually, this apply to China, I believe in Indonesia and some other developing countries as well, because urbanization is really spreading to the rural area, including some the so-called villages in the city that I have learned from the previous presentations. So in a sense that gentrification is being unfolding in a very distinctive way in terms of more intense. It happens in a lot faster pace, and also it's multi-scalar. Not only the local government is involved, but also how the central government perceive such problem and how does policy intervention is trying to rectify some of the problems commonly observed in the global East context. Therefore, we need to have a multi-scalar perspective to understand gentrification. And of course, I summarize some key features associated with gentrification in global East as well. And this is particularly evident in new build gentrification, which is the key topic, the key theme of today's symposium. So now I'm going to present more details about new build gentrification in global East. But first of all, we need to identify the research gap, right? So we need to understand what is really missing in the broader picture in the the research landscape of new build gentrification in global East. The first research gap, I think, is actually the the static application, the uncritical application of Western theories and paradigms. Of course, the term and the relevant theories, they were all originated from the Western countries. However, when it is applied in a developing context or the global East context, we need to really reflect on the applicability and also the variation of these theories and paradigms. And we need to, uncover the localized contradictions and to unpack the diverse reality of gentrification. This is the first gap we try to fill. And the second one, we need to really transcend the binary epistemology associated with gentrification, which I will, talk into further details. One typical case of this binary understanding or the dichotomy that dominating gentrification literature for a very long time would include the production side versus the consumption side explanation for gentrification. And secondly, in the case of Global East, in the literature, they are typically depicted as under a state-led authoritarian regime that is to be opposed to the neoliberal regime in the Western context. However, authoritarianism and neoliberalism, these are not mutually exclusive, right? In some cases, particularly in the Chinese cases, these two can coexisting, right? Even though they might apply to different aspects of the gentrification processes. However, these binary views, seeing these two as opposing against each other, should be ratified in a sense when we put it into the Global East context. And finally, we can apply these conceptual tools I mentioned earlier to revisit new build gentrification in Global East to apply a more context-sensitive, a more contextualized and conjunctural approach to understand new build gentrification so as to advance theoretical development to go beyond the westernized approach. And also we need to have a more longitudinal or so-called diachronical approach and to engage with the political economic analysis of gentrification in Global East. Now, let me quickly, review the major binary epistemology within the gentrification debates. So in the Global East, in my view, I think this rigid and static dichotomies actually are the key reasons that hindering the theoretical development, the theorization of gentrification in a different context compared to the Western origins, right? So that's why we need to dissect and also overcome this dichotomy that dominating the gentrification debates in the past few decades. So, for example, in the 1980s, when the gentrification, literature was mainly engaging in these debates between the consumption explanation and the production side, explanation. I'm sure most of you are familiar with these debates. So from the production side, the rent gap theory or the circuit of capital, these are the dominating theoretical tools trying to help us to dissect the gentrification processes. And from the humanistic or consumption side, represented by David Ley and some others, they tend to emphasize the middle class aesthetics or the pursuit for second home, etc., etc. However, at this moment, I think most of us already realize the limitation associated with this two, opposing or confrontational explanation. Sometimes we need to bring them together to provide a better understanding to gentrification. And secondly, there is another long-lasting dichotomy in the literature, which is the structuralism and the post-structuralism to, putting too much emphasis between the tension of structures and agency, the individual agency and the structural power between the state, the market, and the society. So in a sense, we also need to, go beyond that to conduct more, micro scale and context-sensitive analysis to unpack the very complex dynamics associated with gentrification, including how the concept of gentry class is evolving, to conduct a class analysis, and also to bring in more critical perspective to the new build gentrification literature. Other dichotomy, including Western versus non-Western perspective, and even though I do, have a very critical view in terms of simply applying Western theory to non-Western context. However, I'm not suggesting that we should overthrow the Western classic theory, entirely, but instead we should apply them to a new context with a more critical perspective and try to introduce or enrich the Western theory based on a very deep dive into the non-Western context. In that sense, we do need to have these comparative perspective, and this again has been proposed by many scholars, particularly Mark Phillips and Darren Smith, who proposed that the comparative urbanism actually provide new opportunities for non-Western scholars to contribute more to the theoretical development of gentrification. And also, we should treat the Western and non-Western cases on an equal epistemological footing, not, seeing the Western theory as more authentic or more original, but we should also value the opportunities that offered by non-Western contexts. And in this case, the Global East actually provide a very rich and fertile ground for us to contribute to the gentrification literature. And finally, this binary view concerns neoliberalism versus authoritarianism. This is particularly relevant to the case of East Asian countries, including mainland China, Hong Kong, Singapore, South Korea, Japan. So because I don't know good enough about Indonesian context, but maybe it's applicable to the Indonesian context as well. So this actually presents a critique to the prevailing planetary gentrification, because it tends to, perpetuate a binary understanding that confronting neoliberalism versus authoritarianism, because it's not either or. This is not an either or explanation. In many cases, that is a combination of these two features, particularly in the Global East. These very complex rural-urban governance systems, they have this binary view has overlooked the key role of the modern barbarian bureaucracy and the strong collectivism that dominating the Global East society. For example, in the countryside, that we have this rural collective, and also we emphasize a lot on the collectivism. This is embedded in the the Global East culture and the society, the social norms as well. And this has been overlooked in this binary narratives using either neoliberalism or authoritarianism. So in that sense, the gentrification in Global East can offer new opportunities to let us to, develop a more, constructive and also a more original understanding about gentrification, to unpack the constitutive tension between market liberalization and the nation-state coherence. So I think after review this binary understanding about gentrification, we also need to put those theoretical debates into its into the context of Global East. So let me turn to some concrete discussion about new build gentrification in the Global East. So as the keynote speakers previously, they presented very vivid cases about how new build gentrification is unfolded on the ground. And it's not only applied to the Indonesian Jakarta case, but also to the vast region in the global East. And it has commonly become a very a vital topic and also a widespread phenomenon that we should definitely pay attention to. And its value can be seen in three areas. First of all, it challenges the classic gentrification theory. This has been, discussed by Taro's presentation this morning because it's different from the traditional, renovation, rehabilitation of existing middle class, community, but it happens in former industrial zone, in public housing, and even in the village farmland, etc., etc. It could involve indirect displacement as well. And secondly, it reveals, distinctive driving mechanism that is unseen in the Western context. For example, the very strong role played by the entrepreneurial state and also these multidirectional capital flows, not only from, more developed countries to the less developed countries, but also vice versa, and also from the urban to the rural, and also from the more developed region to the less developed region, or it could happen in multiple directions. And we need to really unpack those different mechanisms in diverse political and cultural contexts. And finally, the outcome is very different as well, as we already seen from the previous displacement, not only in terms of the very rapid paces and the larger scales, but also the very, dynamic and sometimes could be very nuanced relation and interaction between the gentrifiers and the displacees, as well as how does this gentrification process is embedded in this rapidly changing rural-urban interaction. So all of these key characteristics call for more contextualized serialization beyond the Western-centric models. So now let me present a few cases from multiple countries. So the first one is from Shanghai, from my own research. So Shanghai is, a highly globalized and rapidly urbanizing city, is currently the most developed city in China. So since the 1990s, it has engaged very actively into globalization, and also many of the city making strategy has a globalizing outlook, and this has driven widespread redevelopment across Shanghai and lead to a very fast-paced new build gentrification, because many of those areas were not occupied by the so-called urban poor or working class neighborhood. They could be factories, or they could be even farmlands or vacant land that, as a legacy left by the rapid urbanization. However, this rapid new build gentrification has led to very severe socioeconomic inequalities. And it has geographically, it has spread from the central areas to the peri-urban Shanghai, as you can see from the map, the two maps, the comparison from 1990s to year 2000 that included in my previous paper. So the key features is really this new build gentrification is largely led by the state-led planning or state-led strategic development plans in a very top-down format, and also how the local government and actually the national government as well are, very enthusiastic about urban imagineering, using urban redevelopment or new build gentrification as an effective tool to change the image of the city, to present a more globalized and a welcoming image to the capital flows from the global, region, and also to attract inward capital investment. So this is the case of Shanghai. And secondly, I will also touch upon some cases from other region which I did not do the research, but I did a very thorough review and trying to include other colleagues' work here to present some key features that are dominating the new build gentrification in other contexts. For the case of South Korea, it has had a very long-lasting real estate boom. This has provided opportunity for new build gentrification, and this has been, captured in other colleagues' work like Henshin and also Loretta Lee's, etc., etc. So the key features is really how the local government is taking advantage of the real estate booms and also colluding with the real estate developers to engage in speculation. And the influence of some, the so-called chaebol. Chaebol is the super corporation, usually led by family business. For example, Samsung, Hyundai, and LG. Those are big companies. They are called chaebol in Korean, and they have very strong influence in the property market. And they are the property owner themselves as well, and they have pushed for waves of new build gentrification. And as you can see, this huge contrast between before the gentrification, there were slums or vacant land, very dilapidated building forms, and they have been turned into high rises and modern, very well-equipped apartment blocks in the two images presented here. So we can see the key features dominating the new build gentrification in Seoul or in South Korea is mainly building upon real estate speculation, and this very solid and deeply involved pro-growth coalition between the chaebols and property owners and the local government as well. And in Malaysia, we also observe some different manifestation of new build gentrification, which tied to this large-scale transportation and housing project to attract international investment, particularly from Singapore, from the Middle East. These huge flows of foreign direct investment has transformed the urban landscape of southern Johor, and this has also led to a widespread of new build gentrification, as we can see very vividly from the figures on the right. So this development has, however, produced very, very adverse impact on the local urban poor and also the working class. This has created a stark disparity in wealth and also the property ownership among between the foreign investors and also those local villages who are being put into the bottom, who are now positioning at the bottom of the social economic hierarchy in the society. They are the previous landowners. However, after this huge investment from the foreign companies, they become the loser in this game of new build gentrification. On the contrast, the foreign investor, they become the owners of the majority of those high-end residents, and they are actually, in a sense, exploiting the local villages. So the key features is really can be seen in the marginalization of the local and also how this new build gentrification was driven by transnational capital influx. And let's move to the western part of the so-called Global East, which is Istanbul in Turkey. So in Turkey, this new build gentrification has a strong sense of racial or religious conflicts, because since the 1960s, the city have seen an exodus of its non-Muslim population, and also those include the middle to high income minorities who are not the majority, the Turkish people. So they were driven driven away from the center, and this has made way for a substantial influx of rural migrants. So basically, this become a very rundown area that dominated by poor migrants from the villages. However, after the 1980s, new build gentrification became prevalent in this region, and this was driven by the government-led renovation around 2005. And however, this has met with strong residential resistance, but it didn't really work. Didn't work out because ultimately the very strong government force has expelled the majority of residents and the tenants. As you can see, the huge contrast before demolition and the rebuild. And this is a typical case of new build gentrification in a different context. So the key features was the non-Muslim flight that driven out those the non-Muslims and those racial ethnic minorities, and it was really driven by the top-down state-led reconstruction movements. And finally, just also quickly, another case from Poland, from this Łódź, this city called Łódź is a major city in Poland. The story is slightly different here because it's did not involve a lot of racial or religious conflicts. However, it's actually more aligned to the classical story of class displacement because the Łódź municipality after they took over these public rental apartments, they started to privatize the previous publicly owned housing through this sales at a deep discount, very similar to the right to buy movement in the UK. So the consequences was this has created enlarged the gap between those homeowners and the renters because not everyone can actually afford to purchase this housing even at a deep discount rate. This disparity become even worse after 2010 when the municipal authority launched large-scale urban renewal. So the property rights issue remain quite chaotic. So remember, even during the right to buy movement, not everyone can, afford to purchase the housing. So in a single block, you will see both, homeowners and the renters. And this very chaotic and complex property rights has provide more difficulties for the renewal. However, in order to push for new build gentrification, the municipality actually hire some so-called house cleaners to evict the residents, regardless of their status or their tenure. Of course, the homeowners might be given some compensation. However, the tenants, the renters, they actually suffer a lot by forcibly displaced by the municipal government through the action of the housing cleaners. So this has led to large-scale new build gentrification, as you can see from the pictures. So the building, they try to mimic the building style of the previous period. However, you can see the scale. Actually, some vacant land has been built up with multi-story middle-class homes, regardless the tenants' rights of those previous renters and owners. So the key features was this is a reflection of the very chaotic and complex post-socialist governance, which do not really adapt a more democratic governance mode. And also the financial situation was not optimal at that moment, and this has led to this the municipalities eager for capture more capital investments through forced eviction and also redevelopment. So I think my time is almost up. In the interest of time, I will quickly summarize these key features by presenting a table to compare this new build gentrification in those cases I share here. but I will not go through the details because you can easily see from the table. So we can see the drivers diverse a lot, but we can also see globalization, marketization. These are the repeatedly appear keywords as the drivers for those different cases. But of course, in some cities, the demographic changes, the racial conflicts, religious conflicts may overtake other places and present as a distinctive feature. However, this globalization and marketization remain as the key drivers. But when it comes to the mechanism, it becomes more diverse. But if we take a close look to understand how this globalization has bring in the investment from international context, and also how this intensify the conflicts between the rural and the urban residents, and also the different socioeconomic groups, and the different degree of involvement of the local government as well as the private sector. In the case of South Korea, those tribals, those big corporations, those multinational corporations also play a very important role. So overall, we can see the local state play a very important role, as I already flag up at the very beginning of my talk, that in the Global East, one dominant feature is the strong involvement of the local state. As for the consequences, we can see this enlarging inequality is commonly observed in all the contexts. However, who are the losers and who are the winners slightly different across different cases. For example, in Malaysia, the winners was actually the foreign investors. However, the local actually become the losers, and this is actually quite alarming. When the government try to attract foreign direct investment, they should also pay attention to the welfare and the benefits of the local as well. And in some cases, the conflicts happen, or the disparity was most evident between the villages and the urban residents. And again, this is need to be addressed by policy intervention as well. So overall, we can see that state-led, capital-driven logic is the major feature dominating new gentrification in Global East. But of course, we need to, really look into the locally variated context as well. So we have seen parallel but similar social spatial outcomes and mechanism as well. So finally, this is the very last slide. So based on this, research and review, that I would like to propose three, lessons that we can learn by looking into the ontological implication for that can be offered by doing newbie gentrification research in the Global East context. The first one is we should continue to pursue a context-sensitive gentrification theorization deeply rooted in the reality of Global East, rather than uncritically apply the Western theory. And we actually should engage in the research with a mission that is to decenter the Western-centric narratives. And secondly, the epistemological implication is we should really go beyond the binary epistemology dominating the gentrification debates that I presented previously, and to engage more deeply with the local context to develop original framework to defy the stereotypes and the derivative patterns. Finally, in terms of the methodological implication, I think currently something we can collectively engage in is to establish a gentrification typology, even under the same rubric of new gentrification. As I showed in the different cities, even they share some commonality in the Global East, but the manifestation and key features could be very different. So based on that, I would call for a collective effort to establish a gentrification typology under the broad framework of global east. And also we need to, in order to do that, we need to engage in a comparative urbanism approach. And by situating gentrification within the multi-temporal and multi-scalar political economy of the global east, this approach can actually help us to achieve the full potential of gentrification to develop global east not only as a geographical antenna, but also it could offer a theoretical framework and new prism to review the more vivid and dynamics, the new dynamics of social spatial transformation in East Asian context. In the global east context. Okay, so I will finish here. And because this is a season for PhD and master program application in Hong Kong U, so I take this opportunity to, to let students in the audience to know that we offer very good scholarship, full scholarship for our PhD and master program. And the details can be, can be achieved from the, can be seen in the website I presented here. So I will stop here, and many thanks, and look forward to our discussion. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Professor Senjing, for your excellent presentation. And Professor Senjing underlined the theory of development and gentrification. Well, before I continue, I should introduce Professor Senjing to the audience. Professor Senjing is the Lady of Edith Cotwell Professor in the Built Environment and Department Head of the Department of Urban Planning and Design at the University of Hong Kong. So thank you for offer for your, is it include scholarship?
Yes, yes.
Yes,
You are welcome
thank you very much. So you can
reach
apply
out
to Hong Kong University.
Yes.
Okay, now she has published over 200 papers and then being a co-editor, editor, and editorial board in different journals. She is the founding director of the Social Infrastructure for Equity and Wellbeing Lab and executive deputy director of Urban System Institute at Hong Kong University. She has awarded several prestigious awards from different institutions, and also noted as the top 1 worldwide scholar by Clarified Analytics, and also top 2% scientist by Stanford University. Okay, now she has also add not only global and South dichotomy, but also add the global East so that it forms trichotomy, and also has presented the characteristic of the global East, and then proposed theoretical underpinnings on theory of gentrification, and also presented and reviewed, excellent review for 5 cases in China, Korea, Malaysia, Turkey, and Holland. And also, although there are some similarities of gentrification, there are also specific characters of global East gentrification. And she also promote the research on ontological, epistemological, and methodological implication of new gentrification. Okay, thank you very much. Now the last one, Pak Haryo, 15 minutes for discussion. Or 10 minutes, Pak Haryo.
Well, thank you very much for all speakers who have incredibly showing a rich presentation, very insightful presentation. We just taken to rapid journey across theoretical framework, which Professor he actually the last presentation, but she present the basic for theoretical approach, I should say, for research in gentrification. We have theoretical framework, empirical finding from the ground state strategies, and market-driven solution. The great value of this panel is multi-scalar and multi-actor perspective, new build gentrification, a process distinct from classic displacement, from existing housing model, but one that equally transformative and contagious. So as a role of discussion, I will try to highlight the tension and first question that might help us synthesize the global and local insight. I will structure my comment around the key themes from our talks, and I will start from Professor He's presentation, although she was the last one, but I'll put it in the first one because it's more theoretical. Then at the end is Pak Eman, which is more practical, very grounded experience, very real experience. So theorizing the global East. Next, please. The driver for geographical of capital, right? Professor He, Senjing, your work has been foundational, right, in putting the gentrification theory, moving it from beyond the Anglo-American origins. Based on your writings, you like to argue that new building gentrification in the global East, including cities like Hong Kong, Jakarta, Shanghai, Poland, and Malaysia, is not a simple imitation of the West. You mentioned that it's not a binary epistemology. It's different. It is distinct phenomenon shaped by, first, in my own word here, is hybrid state market logic, the deep entanglement of the state and capital in land development, where the state is often a facilitator, partners, and primary beneficiary through the land sales, rather than regulatory protecting against displacement. This is evidence from the cases that you mentioned, right? And the preemptive reduction of space. Gentrification here is about reclaiming the inner city, but about preemptively building a gentrified city on the urban periphery. In the case of Pak Eman showing development in Jabodetabek, which is very big. And it creates a new socio-spatial order from scratch. It's a transnational capital flow. If we look at Pak Eman presentation, actually also showing that most of large scale and development also get funding from outside. But the role of global finance in changing the middle class appetite for property as a financial asset, not just a home, speculative there. Senjing has rightly mentioned that the global East experience has a challenge in it challenged the classical gentrification theory. It revealed distinctive driving mechanism and it generated diverse socioeconomic outcomes. She mentioned Shanghai, Seoul, Malaysia, Turkey, and the last one is Poland, if I'm mistaken, right? But then my question for you and for all us actually, how does the Global East framework help us understand the specific of power in Jakarta as presented by our other speaker, by I think all speaker, right? Pak Toro, Bu Vera, and Pak Eman. Does it challenge the complicated new South binary, or does it create new equally problematic one? Is it different with the 5 example from Saint Jing has mentioned, or it's the same? Okay, that's my first comment for Saint Jing, and then second is for Pak Toro. I think your research provide a crucial and on-the-ground validation and complication of these theories. I predict that your finding in Jakarta will, well, it's a good one, and not predict. I'm sure that it's very good because it's showing the different thing in property development actually from apartment and make the gentrified population. Next. No, mundur. Terus lagi mundur, masih Pak Toro. Terus, mundur terus. Nah, uh, so there is a direct and indirect displacement. While new plate project greenfield sites may not displace residents in the classic sense, but it causes rural to urban displacement. And the case Jakarta, they displace people from kampung areas directly or indirectly. The power of world-class imaginary. In Jakarta, actually, there are pressure to make Jakarta a global cities, and this create more new development, apartment in the case of Pak Toro, and it is because, as Pak Toro mentioned in the beginning, a lot of people are coming to Jakarta, and this make lifestyles changing. It's not just about housing, but it's about selling and identity and aspiration, which is the key driver for new build gentrification in Jakarta. And also there is a new social geography, which is showing that different social economic are there, and then displace people to outside. Okay, that's my comment for Pak Toro, and the next is for Bu Vera. This is the state dilemma between development goals and social equity. Well, Bu Vera really have to face, problems in implementing all the plan, but at the same time has to displace people directly or indirectly, Bu Vera. The necessity of investment. Jakarta need investment. Farming, large-scale private development. As he mentioned about the, I think is in Kuningan, right? Was it in Kuningan? Sekitika Kuningan, right? Sekitika Mas is essential for economic growth, infrastructure improvement, tax revenue. But this project is seen as also displace people there. But then Bu Vera has to make a policy and change the gaps. She mentioning about zoning, changing the RDTR, the old one into the new one with the more FAR, floor area ratio, and try to balancing the act by pushing the developer to provide infrastructure and for them for the area. So it's world-class status, but it has to provide equitable access to the city for all residents. That leads to my central question for you, Bu Vera. Question, Bu Vera. Bu Vera, this is a question. In this balancing act, does the concept of public benefit get redefined? Apakah harus di-redefine public benefit? Does it shift from providing universal service, water, transport, housing, to create a conducive environment to private investment? Tadi memaksa planning kin, actually, this was planning kin, right? Where does social equity actually rank in the hierarchy of the government? Is it important? That's the question. The last one, my comment to Pak Eman. Next, please. Yeah, I call it the developer calculus. It's kind of mathematics for Pak Eman. Profit, placemaking, and mitigation. A good mitigation plan actually was there. Business of placemaking, urban transformation. Pak Eman showing the first one is urban transformation. How the urban area was transformed from green into more large scale land development. And community is actually the business of the developer, right? It's the core business model. Development outside Jakarta, large scale land development, rural gentrification. And of course, as a business, you always try to find land value appreciation. That's why the area of formerly, I think, rubber plantation was changed into Alam Sutra, which is very good now. But then Pa Eman also showing a good mitigation plan, which is, I think, it has to be the example, a good example for us. Design with nature. He mentioned Iron McHart. Every planner has to know that one. And then what is important and interesting is the relocation of housing, local job and infrastructure. He mentioned how he worked with the local people and moved to other area with the same plan, same, what is it, site plan, and all changed the housing, right? But again, of course, acknowledging the limits of the private sector. Managing the gentrification by integrated development. Move the local people to the new development with the spatial, what is it, touch or something like that. So, but however, I saw that there is a central tension here. Profit motive versus social responsibility. And I think I have to synthesize what I'm saying here. So if I want to weave all this thread together, we have a powerful theoretical lens from Professor Senjing here. She really gave a very good and strong foundation for us to really trying to understand more on, is there any global East approach for explaining gentrification, which is not binary global North and global South. It's very interesting. Pak Toro show us a live consequences of the fusion in Jakarta, apartment on or displacing kampung area, new landscape. Bu Vera explained the state rationale. Of course, she showed that the government is couched between private sector development investigation with the social, what you call that, the responsibility kind of thing that the government has to protect the people, low income people. Then the overarching story is here is actually is the co-produce of segregation city. City will be segregated if the gentrification are not really controlled. So the final question to the panel is this for you all. Given the complex interplay, where do we see the most potential site for intervention? It is reforming state policy, stronger redistributive mechanism, or persuading the private sector that deep, genuine local integration. The result for a co-produced or pre-planned segregation city. I think that's all my comment here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pak Harjo. Again, it's an excellent discussion. And Mr. Pak Harjo was not only discussing, but also highlight and conclude the presentations. So he compared between the presentation and then make conclusions and question for each. So if you'd like to answer. Ada yang mau jawab dulu?
Thank you. There are two things that I would like to.
Pak Toro, short answer.
Oh, sure. Okay.
We have limited time.
Okay. Firstly, there is intriguing aspects in the gentrification theory, particularly the binary production and consumption, and then we come to the theory, rent gap theory. That 4 years ago, I found that Jakarta is not like that. That is the starting points that I try to investigate gentrification. And I believe that Jakarta has certain characters, and then we have to adopt the framework, the binary global south and global north. And we know that the resistance of some scholars that all theories from the global north cannot just be adopted in the global south context. So we actually have some freedom to create more room for develop probably a new theory or point of views to see what happened in the global south, although we also still borrow the global north frameworks or theories or concepts. But then Senjing proposes a new global east context, which is not bounded to geographical boundary, but it is more shared ideas that we have to more understand the local context, and knowing that there are some similarities between or amongst the examples Senjing has showed in the presentation. So for my research, as asked by Pak Harjo, I think the point of view of global East will enrich the analysis. We did the research last year. It is a vision over 1 year, but it's quite difficult to write it down in a paper. We had 3 studies, and each study is actually independent, but they are bonded with one idea: how to prove because we have evidence and how to prove that there is something unique in this Jakarta context. I think what Senjing presented today has given many insightful ideas for continuing these research studies here, and then we are trying to put it in papers. Thank you, Senjing, and thank you for all. Thank you.
Thank you. And okay. The next one is for Professor Senjing.
Senjing was asked you that in your view, does what is it? How you understand about the specific power in Jakarta as presented by our presenters here, and does it challenge or complicate the north-south binary, or does it create a new equally problematic one? or is it a good example for your global East approach? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Professor Hayo, for your very, insightful comments. I also learn a lot from your comments because you have very, you capture the essence, the key messages from each talk, and then you can weave them together to present a very comprehensive view about our talks, and also presented a very difficult questions for each one of us. Yeah, and also I would appreciate the opportunity to learn more about the Indonesian cases, but I cannot provide a very good answers to your question because what I have learned maybe still remain very superficial based on the three talks. But I would say that to me, I think it really provide new thoughts and new ingredient for us to further develop the theoretical development of gentrification in the global East context. Because as you can see, I do not have a lot of materials or cases when I'm presenting my work, that I cannot provide a case from Indonesia. But I think after today's symposium, I have learned a few things. I do think it presents some unique features that can add to my reservoir of the repertoire of my materials, that to do a deeper analysis of new gentrification in global East. For example, I can see the government actually takes a very proactive role to trying to balance the economic growth because it's a very difficult work for the mayor, for the municipal to face these huge challenges of the throwing of a population, the increased population in Jakarta, in the capital city, which takes up a large proportion of national population. Yet they need to consider the livability, the economic vitality, as well as to resolve the more urgent problem of traffic jam, and also waste, how to manage the solid waste, etc., etc. So I think these are all very difficult questions and problems and challenges, or in the planning field, as we presented as the wicked problem. Yeah, you must have learned this metaphor of a wicked problem, because it's very difficult to resolve. There is no simple solution to such wicked problem. It requires the synergy from different stakeholders. So I can see that the government already take a very proactive stance in trying to tackle this wicked problem. So as you precisely put it, this is they have trying to do a balancing act to to try to balance the needs for economic development, as well as to promote the social equity issues, etc., etc. So this is by no means can be done or can be resolved, this wicked problem, within a limited time. But at least we can see they already try to input a lot of effort to, to encourage, to create some innovative policy tools, for example, to encourage social mix. And also in the presentation by from the private sector, they try to advocate for nature-based solution, and also to seek for ecological solution as well, to promote a more sustainable development strategies that will benefit each one of us. And something I haven't developed a very clear understanding is the culture embedded in the village collective. And when the Indonesian rural population move into the city, whether they have formed a very strong connection between themselves, like the clan system that we observe in other places, and also how do they gain not only the economic capital but also the social capital. I think this will be very important for the urban poor and also the migrants to form an alliance to to defend their rights to the city. I think to me this also part of the solution might be lie in their social capital, how to build the social bonding between themselves, and also to develop the consciousness, and also to empower these more marginalized groups to claim their right to the city, and also not in a violent or oppositional way, but also they can, find a strategy to, after forming the alliance and to gain more social and cultural capital, they can sit down with other stakeholders to negotiate their right to the city. I'm sure the municipality will listen to them and try to co-create and co-develop new policy tools that try to balance the interests of different stakeholders. So I would say that this is probably the way forward, which is to cultivate new power, or to empower the marginal groups by encouraging social bonding and developing social capital among themselves, and also offer a platform, an opportunity for them to, negotiate with other stakeholders, including the more privileged class, the urban residents, and the government representatives, and also the private sector, to to achieve this balance. Because without their contribution or involvement, I don't think the developer alone or the government alone can really to tackle the difficulties or the key challenges associated with gentrification. And in that sense, I think maybe from the academic perspective, I think, and also from a more practical perspective, we might need to do more fieldwork to talk to people who are on the ground, who are suffering from the displacement, or who are in the shadow of the rising housing prices, and facing the increasing affordability crisis, along with the inflation of rental price and housing prices, to empower them and also invite them into these debates with different stakeholders. I would say this is the way forward. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Senjing. Next, should and respond from Pak Eman dan Bu Vera.
Thank you, Pak Haryo, for the question. Now, I think we, the government of Jakarta, things to formulate the policy that can encourage the private sector to be involved in almost all the government projects. And one that is very attractive for the private sector is formulate a very very flexible spatial plan regulation. So we think that the spatial plan is very or has so many potential to be to get a more attraction from the private sector. So, for example, now the building coverage ratio is one of the tools to get more facilities public facilities and infrastructure. So now in Jakarta, the government has got so many public facilities and infrastructure from the private sector. So we call this scheme is off budget. So now the government of Jakarta still formulating which other potential regulation to make the private sector get involved in our development. Because we know that we have a limitation in budget to provide so many infrastructure and public facilities in Jakarta. So another example is if a private sector want to build their buildings or commercial complex, we have so many regulation to ask them, for example, provide space for UMKM, for low and middle enterprises, and then for they have to provide housings and other facilities, including market. So public market should be provided by private sector if they want to get some permission from a government. So we are still formulating which one the so help us, because we see our spatial plan and we think which one can be formulated to be something that can attract the private sector contribution or compensation. So we are still in the progress. And Pak Haryo, I have the answer your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Bu Vera. Pak Eman, 2 minutes. Yes.
I want to answer with 3 things. Okay. It is very important. Yeah. Talking about contribution, the private sector to the government or to the development is the one thing is the scale of development. Yeah. Yeah. Scale of the development. The private sector who build the big scale development, we can contribute to the infrastructure. You know, in Alam Sutra, yeah, we open the access toll road. This is so expensive, but this is very big benefit to not only in Alam Sutra, also for the surrounding area of Alam Sutra. New access is very, very important. Another thing like the Bumi Serpong Damai, not only the open access for the toll road, he built the new toll road from the Jakarta to the development. I think this is part of the contribution of the private sector is very important. Talking about the scale of development, because this price for the infrastructure will be calculated as the development cost. Yeah, bigger development will be wait for the development is a little bit low. Yeah, this is one thing. Another thing, the Alam Sutra have the experience with the development. In the beginning, 1994, we are the latest developer to build development in the Alam in Serpong. All the developer surrounding area is already built. So we think, how can we survive with this development? How apa beda tuh? Differentiation of us. So we call the consultant, we little bit develop with the little bit idealistic, yeah, with the irregular infrastructure, so many what's it, open space, so many green build area. So somebody who already experiences in development said to me, this is not developer. This is the idealistic team. This is not developer. But you see today, we are the price leader in Serpong. So we have the highest price of the land because the customers' concern is built so the customer is very knows about the environmental. Yeah, this is the concept. One thing, the last thing about the local people. Our principle is growing together. We don't any apa beban, yeah, burden for us because as the regulation of the government, the 40% of land sent to the government as the social facility and public facility, that they take the risk. Yeah, the people who have the for instance 1,000, so we move to the new area with the 600 square meter. So the 40% of this area contribute to the facilities. I don't think this is make the burden for the developer. Developer just build the infrastructure, build the green space, but the integration development is there. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Pak Iman. I don't know whether we still have time for questions, but one only and the only one, if there is any. Okay, because one question. State your name and then your question. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Maybe first I will introduce myself. My name is Susnul Katima. I'm from Urban and Regional Planning, Hasanuddin University. I was interested in the first speaker, which talk about vertical housing, gentrification, and the rent gap theory. And I wanna ask, why is the rent gap theory considered less relevant in explaining Jakarta's gentrification dynamics? Maybe that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure.
Okay, thank you for the questions. The rent gap theory basically originated from the cases in London and New York. It was originally from the paper of Neil Smith in 1979. It is the theory that to explain why, in brackets, classical gentrification to happen in the 1950s. So after the World War II, the government of UK redeveloped, they did urban renewal in large scale. And then after the urban renewal, previously the tenants could not pay more for the rents. So coming the new gentrifiers, higher middle income who are able to rent the previously houses for the working class. So the rent gap theory explains that after the deterioration or the deterioration of location, the land value depreciate. So this becomes the land price become cheap, and this is time for developers to think about this is good. We can invest cheaper than before. So this time is the time for them to employ. Baiman uses the highest and best used methods. What is the best investment for this location? So these developers or investors normally waiting for which lands are now become deteriorated and then become cheaper than before. In the case of Jakarta, the land value, meaning the land price, keep rising. So there is an over time appreciation of land price over time from the 1970s, 80s, and so on. So we question actually, with this situation, how do the developers react or anticipate? So actually, we suggest, or not suggesting, but we thought that the developers will take action immediately. If they do not do right now, they will miss the opportunity to get profit earlier, or they can be left behind by other developers who take action as fast as they can. So this is the explanation why in a certain periods when there is cheap money, particularly after the U.S. U.S. crisis, yeah, we have influx of money in 2008, 9, 10, and so on. So this is the time where the development of apartments is the highest. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pak Toro. And since the time has come, then we have to end this webinar. Thank you to all presenters and then to all guests. And probably we will have, probably we don't need more conclusions. Pak Haryo has concluded all presentation, and then I would like to thank you all presenters and also the guests in online and offline. Thank you very much. I return to MC.
Thank you, Pak Denif and Pak Hayu, and also the speakers for the very interesting discussions and also their valuable knowledge and experience. Before we end our session, I would like to invite Prof. Hayo to give the speakers certificate and also souvenirs from SAPPD. And for Prof. Sanjing, thank you very much. Before we give the souvenirs, I think we can take the documentation for the Zoom first, so that Prof. Sanjing can leave if she has other agenda. Mas Dava, can you help? Okay, so for the participants in the Zoom, please open your camera. We will take the photo first from the Zoom session. Yes.
Mbak Isa, saya mau tahu.
Okay, so
On behalf of the Urban Planning and Design Research Group, I would like to thank all, and especially to Professor Sheng Chi, who have been able to come and to share her very insightful presentation, which is give us more understanding on what she called as the global East. Sambil di foto ya. Sudah
Mas Dava, sambil di foto.
So that we can. So again, Professor we are very thankful and hope that we can still have another or we can have a joint presentation or joint research together. And of course, we still have a promise with you, with Pak Toro, that we will invite you for the meeting on the APNHR preparation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this morning. I learned a lot from your talks. And yeah, I look forward to meeting you all in person, particularly the next year's APNHR conference. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Sanjing. All right, let's continue our session. So we want to invite Prof. Hayo to give the certificate. Mbak Balkis.
Cepat, biar bisa difoto. Vera.
So first for Ibu Vera. And next for Bapak Sulaiman. Let's give a round of applause. And next, Pak Sugiantoro. Okay, and the last, Bapak Denny, please come forward. Thank you very much for all the speakers. Now all the speakers can sit in the front so we can take a picture together. Yeah, Pak. Okay, ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, again, 1, 2, 3, smile. And once more, freestyle. 1, 2, 3, freestyle. Okay, thank you very much. So, for today's session, we come to the end of our session. So, I'd like to read some announcement for the participants.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Sanjinghe.
Thank you and bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Okay, so for the participants, don't forget to fill out the attendance and also feedback form. Mas Dava, can you show the slides, please, for the barcode? Yes. So, yeah, slideshow. Okay, thank you. So this is the barcode, everyone. Please fill in the form so we can evaluate the today's webinar session. And also we will send you the e-certificate. So please don't forget to type your name. And also if there's any title, you can add the title. You will receive the follow-up email within the 7 days with also the link for the recording and the presentation materials for today. So on behalf of SAPPD IITB, we would like to say thank you for your active participation and have a great rest of your day. See you in the next webinar SAPPK. I'm Iza signing off. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.